We're going to start with a simple task that every DIY mechanic can take care of, a simple tire rotation. Using the star pattern, you can loosen the wheels before lifting up the car or after lifting up the car, as I show here. The owner's manual is nice and clear about how to rotate tires. Backs to front, and crisscross the fronts to the back. I always start with hand threading the lugs, then use my impact on the auto setting to get them snug. 108 foot-pounds, that's a number I keep memorized. And the most common practice is to do final torque while the vehicle is on the ground and off jack stands. Before you are the necessary fluids and parts to change engine oil, oil filter, rear differential fluid, front differential fluid, transfer case fluid, grease your slip yokes and U-joints, air filter, and spark plug. Here you see 2 tubes of grease, but I only use 1 in this video. All fluids, parts, and tools used in this video will be linked in the description below. Next is an oil change. Oh, that's where that went. I like to unscrew the cap to help oil drain faster, then get to the oil filter. It helps if you don't drop it. After making sure the previous filter's gasket came off, I take some oil from the old filter and lubricate the gasket on the new filter. Oil capacity is 6.5 quarts with a filter change. It's always hard to see fresh oil on the dipstick. A paper towel helps me find where the oil is. Looks like I need to add just a little more. Onto the rear diff, big socket here, 24mm. Fill plug always comes off first. You don't want to drain it, only to realize that you can't get the fill plug off. .7 quarts of 80 W90 for my 4-wheel drive rear axle. Front diff is a pain to work on. It takes a lot to get the fill plug off.
Woo. I'm alright, guys. There she is.
With all my might, tapping with a hammer, WD-40, I can only get this drain plug to round out a little bit. If you want to swap from an Allen to a hex head, there's a Toyota part number that you can swap to, but for the sake of this video, the fill plug simply won't go, and we'll have to skip until I can figure this out. Time for some grease. This is a lithium-based moly-fortified NGLI 2 grease. I've had a suspicious drivetrain clunk when coming to a hard stop. Greasing my slip yoke and U-joints took care of it. It takes some pressure to get the grease through the nozzle here. A flexible hose is a must. Otherwise I'd have to move the vehicle back and forth to find just the right angle on each fitting. Not all the grease fittings are reachable at every point in the rotation of the drive shaft. Transfer case. Again, this takes a large socket, 24mm. .1 quarts of 75/90. Air filter. Pop off the latches, get that sucker out. To do spark plugs, we start with taking off the coil packs. Take off the bolt, disconnect the electrical harness. A pair of pliers could be used if your fingers can't apply enough pressure to get the harness off. Inspect the coils for cracking. At 225,000 miles, I still have 6 OEM coil packs. Impressive. You're going to want a spark plug socket here. The rubber plug inside of it grabs the spark plug. I remove the grommet when reinstalling the spark plugs, or if you have a really long socket in the right size, that will work too. Spin the plug counterclockwise until you feel it seat, then begin tightening by hand. Cross-threading a spark plug is a death sentence. The plugs and the bolts on the coils are pretty low torque, so don't overdo it here. Make sure you plug your coil packs in or your truck will sound like this and make your garage reek of gasoline. Let's try that again. Other good maintenance items that you could include in a service like this would be brake fluid, power steering fluid, coolant, popping the timing cover off to inspect the belt, brake pads, cleaning the intake, and inspecting lower ball joints for play. Speaking of which, if you want to see a lower ball joint change, check out this video here.